We are here Friday, September the 10th, Stacks and Facts video. I'm here by DFS with By the Numbers. Brady, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good outside of looking like a complete bum with this haircut, but hopefully I'm not like a bum on Sunday with my lineups. Looking forward to it. Hopefully winning some good money this week.
Yeah, I definitely do feel you, Brady. It should be a pretty exciting one. Right off the bat, we'll get into Friday injury news report. The only one that really caught my eye was Saquon Barkley, questionable still, and Xavier Rhodes, starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, one of the best cornerbacks in the league, is going to be out for this weekend. So that really bumps up a guy like DK Metcalf inside the player pool. I was looking to fade DK, but I'm not fading DK with no Xavier Rhodes. Any injury report that caught your eye?
No, I was gonna touch on that as well. I'm with you. I was not going to be all that interested in things from a Seattle standpoint, but yeah, I think Seattle, especially at the ownership that they're projected at right now, very low. I think it definitely makes for definitely a good option, especially with Rhodes out, and even then, like the secondary in general wasn't all that impressive to begin with. So now that Rhodes is out, I think that Metcalf is definitely in play now. Lockett, Russell Wilson, I think they're all in play for sure.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Quick question. Thoughts on opening day yesterday? How'd you do in that Buccaneers and Cowboys game, or any thoughts from it?
Yeah, I mean, I cashed probably the easiest bet of the year. It was Dak Prescott over 39 and a half passing attempts. The dude almost got it at halftime. So that was nice. I also did bet the Cowboys. I bet it live plus 7.5. I know they opened up plus like 9. So I was able to get them live there. Almost about won the game. The Cowboys, that would have been a huge upset. I think the Cowboys were like the biggest underdogs on the entire week. So I was able to cash some bets there. As far as DK goes, I did not have much of Rob Gronkowski. That screwed me, but I had a ton of Brown, a ton of CeeDee Lamb, a ton of Cooper. Did everything perfect except no Rob Gronkowski. That was the key. That was the key to the winning lineup last week or last night.
Yeah, I was a little bit pissed about once I saw Gronk was going to be chalk and he went off, and I knew I just wasn't going to win. Can you believe I got Tom Brady and the Buccaneers on the last drive plus 150 on the money line? It's crazy, man. Crazy world we live in. Brady cashed in the plus 150 ticket. I hit the Dak over rushing prop by a half a yard. So it was a good way to start off the season. It was greasy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I destroyed the betting last night. DraftKings was not there. Thank you, Gronk. I'm a big Gronk fan, so that sucks even more. But yeah, hopefully do well on DraftKings this Sunday, and I'm sure we'll talk about some betting as well later in the video.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, Brady, man. You look at you on a Thursday night making some degenerate non-MMA sports bets. But let's get straight into this slate. Talked about the game from last night, a little bit of injury news report. What is your favorite stack of the week so far for the main slate?
My favorite stack of the week, well, I'm probably going to have to go with the Cardinals and the Titans stack. I think you can kind of approach this game from both sides. I think the Tannehill side is definitely something to look at. But for me personally, I am on the Kyler Murray side. You have great stacking option with DeAndre Hopkins, Randall Moore, who is $3K minimum slot receiver there. So I'm kind of looking at those three in a stack there. And, of course, great run back options. You have A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, even Derrick Henry, 8,800. This game in general, I think it's going to score very, very well. It's the second highest implied total on the slate. I think like 52.5 points. So I'm definitely on the Murray side of things, Arizona with Hopkins. And something that I wanted to note is if you take a look at the ownership, it's very weird this week. It's all the ownership, especially at wide receiver, it's gravitated towards, guys like Marcus Callaway, guys like Marvin Jones Jr. And we're seeing these stud wide receivers up top like Adams, Ridley, Hopkins. They're going a lot lower owned than they really should be. So I think for me in tournaments this week, I'm going to get different by going up and playing these stud wide receivers like Adams, like Ridley, like DeAndre Hopkins. And I think this is a very good way in this game right here to get a Kyler Murray Hopkins stack. I think it's going to be a lot lower owned than it should be. It's not going to be like extremely lower owned, but compared to like other weeks, I think it's going to be pretty low owned there.
I definitely think that is the stack that definitely catches the easiest GPP roster construction, especially paying up in quarterback on FanDuel with Kyler Murray. And then, as you noted too, Rondale Moore, rookie receiver, is going to be taking the Larry Fitzgerald role. I think people are kind of underestimating a lot of what the Larry Fitzgerald role can do. You put in a good fast, athletic dude in the Larry Fitzgerald. It may not look like Larry Fitzgerald, dusty catch 4 balls for 20 yards. This dude might be able to break one, and he's bare minimum price on DK. So I definitely do agree with the same sentiments as that. I will say, though, I think one of the millionaire maker lineups I'm going to run to this week is going to be Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback position. I do like him in the mid range. I feel like a lot of the ownership's going towards Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow on DK, but people are kind of overlooking Ryan Tannehill, and Anthony Ferguson is probably the best punt tight end on the slate. So easy stackable options. You can go many different routes on that one. One stack that I was looking at, Brady, was actually the Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills stack. I think that's going to be the chalkiest stack on the slate. Overall, though, I feel like Josh Allen is one of the quarterbacks that I really want to get a lot of ownership on towards early. I think people are going to be surprised of how much the Bills will throw this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs is a stack that I'm definitely looking at. The matchup on paper might look a little bit scary, which may draw off some ownership from people playing it. But yeah, I think Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, great stack there in a game that I think both sides are going to throw the ball a ton. Pittsburgh threw the ball some of the most times of the year last year, and then Buffalo as well is going to throw the ball a ton here. So yeah, I like that as well.
Any other stacks you were looking at on the main slate for Sunday?
Yeah, I think Philly Atlanta is definitely something to look at. And in cash games, I'm probably going Jalen Hurts. The problem with me in tournaments is in stacks is there's not really somebody that I want to stack Jalen Hurts with. Of course, there is Devonta Smith, and there is Devontae Smith, who he's a rookie. I think he will be somewhat popular. We just don't know. I think he has all the talent in the world to succeed here. It's just we just don't know, how much he's going to be used, how it's going to work out week one. So I'm a little bit iffy about it. But if I was to stack Jalen Hurts, it would be with Devonta Smith. Obviously, he has 4,500. But yeah, the ownership does concern me on him. It looks like he's coming in a little bit higher owned than I'd like. But on the flip side of Atlanta, I think this is very interesting. So Matt Ryan, he throws the ball a ton. He's not going to get it done with his legs. But what I noticed throughout the last couple of years is this guy throws the ball a lot. Atlanta throws the ball a lot. So he is 6K. You are getting a ton of volume. He's going to, give you a lot of opportunities for scoring. And then you take a look at the stacking options for Atlanta, and I like a lot of them. Calvin Ridley, 7,900. I talked about it earlier, how I think these stud wide receivers are going to go overlooked just because everybody's going down playing Marvin Jones, Elijah Moore, Callaway, guys like that, where I think, a guy like Ridley could be a little bit lower owned than he really should be. And he has a ton of upside. Of course, no more Julio Jones. Russell Gage, 5,300, another great stacking option with Matt Ryan. And then Kyle Pitts, who's going to be very popular, one of, if not the highest owned tight end this week at 4,400. So I think a Matt Ryan stack could be very interesting just based off the fact that he's going to throw the ball a ton. You're going to get a lot of opportunities against a Philly secondary that is, pretty bad. I think Matt Ryan and his stacking his wide receivers up tight end could be very interesting this week.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. I don't know if I'm going to go to Matt Ryan route, but I really like Mike Davis on this slate. His price tag makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to be trying to look to stack Jalen Hurts with his counterpart, Devontae Smith. That's the Eagles receiver I think that I'm going to stack it with. But honestly, I feel like with Jalen Hurts, you can go naked Jalen Hurts as well and not stack him with any of his pass catchers just because of the rushing floor. One of the interesting names I was looking at in the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver core, he's on my dynasty team, and he's going to get the start this week. And he's getting zero ownership on DK this week. Olamide Zaccheaus. Hopefully we can get some Olamide Zaccheaus routes in the cover two underneath and make $1 million, right?
I might have to put him in my Millie Maker lineup there with my Matt Ryan stack. Yeah.
I mean, hey, man, he's going to be out there on the field this year. One of the other stacks I was looking at, one of my favorite narratives of this week is going to be the New York Jets versus the Carolina Panthers. You got the revenge narrative, the shower narrative in all full effect. You got Sam Darnold in a revenge game against his former team, and you also have his wide receiver, Robbie Anderson, in a revenge game. I feel like you could stack that game in so many different ways possible. Anybody that you like in that game, Brady?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's kind of ugly, but yeah, I do like the Sam Darnold stack a little bit to an extent to kind of get very different here. He is 5K. You mentioned the revenge narrative going against the Jets here, and just taking a look at his stacking options here. DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, it seems like they're always underpriced and they always perform. Moore averaged 14.9 DraftKings points last year. Robbie Anderson just around there, 14.6. You have Terrence Marshall Jr., who is a slot receiver, 3K minimum. And then also Dan Arnold at tight end, who averaged 6.1 DraftKings points last year. He has 2,600. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very, very cheap stack. It'll allow you to go up and, pay up at your other positions like running back. It'll allow you to go up and get some stud wide receivers as well. So it's ugly, but it's so ugly that it just might work. I mean, he has some decent options. We'll see how he does. I'm not a big Sam Darnold fan myself, but with the prices of these guys, with the talent on Carolina in terms of their skill positions, I think it could be something to consider this week.
I definitely do feel you on the Terrence Marshall Jr. call. Sam Darnold often targets the slot. But on the New York Jets side, man, they've been actually having some wide receiver issues. Jameson Crowder is on the COVID IR this week, and Corey Davis didn't practice yesterday. Friday injury report, haven't really checked that one out yet for the Jets. So, the slot wide receiver in the Adam Gase offense gets you paid Jarvis Landry money. There's a rookie out there. His name is Elijah Moore at 3K. He's going to take the Jameson Crowder role in the slot wide receiver role for Adam Gase offense, and just alone that is valuable. And then you mix in the fact that he's bare minimum price and a perfect game stack. I think Elijah Moore is going to be one of the keys to having a greasy stack, because I feel like that game is so intriguing because you can not really allocate a lot of your salary and run that stack in that game and really pay for everything else on the slate.
Yeah, I love that Elijah Moore call. There's like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 wide receivers that are 3K minimum this week. But I think Elijah Moore is probably the one that sticks out to me the most there. Terrence Marshall, Randall Moore. But yeah, I think Elijah Moore is going to be my go-to in terms of going down in the very bottom and picking a 3K wide receiver. I think he's my guy this week.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that. One of the mini stack situations that I was looking at, I don't want to full out on stack it, but one of the mini stacks I was looking at, you talked about it a little bit earlier about how chalky Marquez Callaway is going to be on this slate. I'm a Marquez Callaway truther, big fan of him, but I feel like one of the things that I'm really going to do is eat the chalk and put Kamara in as my flex, because he's a same exact price or near the same exact price on DK as well as Devontae Adams. And you can run a Kamara Robert Tonyan stack and then either switch out Kamara in the afternoon slate for Devontae Adams. There's a lot of different things that you can do in that game. I feel like in the 4 o'clock slate for the afternoon, that Green Bay New Orleans game is definitely a mini stack that I've been trying to include in a lot of my hand build lineups.
Yep, I'm with you there. I do like Kamara quite a bit. He's going to be in my cash lineup. Going to have a ton of tournament lineups with him as well. What are your thoughts on a potential Rodgers Adams stack? I mean, we know that Adams is the best wide receiver in the league in terms of fantasy points scored last year, 26.5 DraftKings points. I'm curious to see how owned this stack's going to be. How many people are going to go up and get Devontae Adams? I don't think a lot of people will. So, Adams literally has 10 reception upside. Adams literally has 2+ touchdown upside. So I don't. And then Rodgers, I mean, he has a ton of options to throw to. Tonyan, you mentioned one. He's getting Randall Cobb back as well. So I think if it's very low owned, I think like a Rodgers, Adams, maybe Tonyan stack is not that crazy this week.
To be honest with you, that was one of the stacks I was looking at earlier in the week, and then doing some deeper research. I kind of want to avoid Aaron Rodgers against this New Orleans pass defense, even though it is not something to be really scared about. Aaron Rodgers plays a little bit better in the dome. This game is going to be at a neutral site. If this game was in New Orleans inside the dome with no Drew Brees, I would be a little bit more intrigued. But in Jacksonville, they may be able to control the clock as well. The Saints defense allowed the 5th fewest passing yards last year and the 5th fewest fantasy points at the quarterback position last year. So I think it's pretty easy to identify Rodgers counterparts that are going to get the work, but maybe Rodgers doesn't hit his ceiling. That's why I was really looking at that as a mini stack, because so much ownership is going to come to Marquez Callaway. If you don't play Marquez Callaway, but you stack the game and Robert Tonyan is the one that catches the touchdown, that may boost you right into the money in the afternoon slate.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense.
Any other stacks that you're looking at on today's slate for this weekend?
Yeah, so one that stuck out to me, and I think just in general, the Bengals are extremely underpriced. You have Joe Burrow, he is 5,700. I think this Bengals offense is going to be much improved in general. And I'm very high on Joe Mixon this week, and I'm sure a lot of people will be as well. But I think the passing game is very interesting just based on the fact that, man, you take a look at his wide receivers, and they're just way too cheap. Like, this makes no sense. Tyler Boyd, he's 5,200. T. Higgins, 4,700. T. Higgins is honestly like one of my favorite value wide receivers on the entire slate. He was the best wide receiver on the Bengals last year in terms of DraftKings points scored. Of course, you do have Jamar Chase, who did not have a great preseason. He is 4,800 as well. So just with how cheap these guys are, Burrow 5,700, Boyd 52, Chase 48, and then Higgins 47. I think it's very easy to stack them up, and I think they have the upside. What I like about Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense is, again, they pass the ball a ton. I think we're going to get a lot of volume. Just for example, against Pittsburgh, they threw the ball 40 times. Cleveland, 47 times. Indianapolis last year, 39 times, 36, 44, 61 times. Joe Burrow threw the ball against Cleveland. So, the volume is going to be there. The upside's there. The matchups there. The values there. I mean, I really do like the Bengals stack this week. It's probably going to be one of my favorite stacks this week, to be honest.
To be honest, doing these videos with you, you definitely have sold me on the Bengals this week. It wasn't something I was looking at pre-flop coming into the week, but as I started building in lineups, I have been mixing in Joe Mixon and switching Chase Claypool out for T. Higgins. So shouts to Brady for that one. One of the other stacks I was looking at that are going to go under the radar on FanDuel is Trevor Lawrence at the quarterback position. A little bit too cheap on FanDuel for this weekend. If you look at some of his pass catchers, a lot of the ownership is coming towards Marvin Jones Jr. So you can kind of really get different in this game. You could play Trevor Lawrence in as your quarterback, play Laviska Shenault, and kind of really be on your way. I feel like the Houston Texans are one of the teams that I'm going to plant my flag on for being the worst team in the league this year. I'm going to pick on them often and early.
I can't do it myself, but I get it, man. Houston's going to be so bad this year, offensively and defensively, and just in general. So, what's the price on FanDuel you said for Lawrence?
5,900.
That's cheap. Yeah, Lawrence is 6,200 on DraftKings. I get it. I do like James Robinson in that game as well. James Robinson, probably one of my favorite running back plays on the entire slate. But you mentioned, Lawrence is going to have a bunch of options to throw to, a bunch of cheap options as well. So I get it. Great matchup, but I don't know if I can trust Lawrence just yet.
Would it be disrespect if we talked about a stack video and didn't talk about the best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes? Is there anything that you're looking at in that game? Because that game kind of confused me a little bit. I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's the best quarterback in the league. There's always a way to get Patrick Mahomes in your lineup. It's just like, man, it's a lot of salary to allocate between Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill. Anything you're looking at in that game?
Yeah, so that stack's going to be in play every week, right? It's more of an ownership thing for me. I'm going to take a look at the ownership, see where it's at. But if it's coming in low owned, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Kelsey, it's definitely worth a look, right? Like, they have all the upside in the world. They have slate breaking potential. I think Travis Kelsey is very interesting, 8,300, based off the fact that he's going to probably be the highest owned tight end. It's between him and Pitts, but Pitts, I don't know if we can trust him yet. He's a rookie tight end making his debut here. I'd rather go up and get Kelsey at, the same ownership, just about. I even saw that, Pitts at one point was projected more ownership than Travis Kelsey, which is just crazy to think about. And yes, it's a price thing, but Travis Kelsey, great matchup here against Cleveland, who struggles against the tight end. Cleveland was 29th versus the tight end last year. And I think that Kelsey's going to have literally a ton of upside, like 1, 2, maybe even 3 touchdown upside in this game. That's the highest total on the slate. So yeah, I feel like if we did not touch on this game in general, which is like a 54.5 point total here, it's the highest total on the slate. Like, we got to talk about it. And yeah, I'm with you. They're very expensive. Mahomes is very expensive. Travis Kelsey is very expensive. Hill is very expensive, but with all the value that we talked about, a wide receiver, like the 3K minimum wide receiver guys like Elijah Moore, guys like Terrence Marshall, guys like Randall Moore, I think that, you could do it this week. And I think if you do it this week, it's not going to be as popular as it will be, say, in other weeks. I think this is a good week one, to have some Kansas City stacks, because how can you not? How can you not have at least one lineup with these studs in there, because they're going to do very well, and it's a very good matchup and a very good game in general.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to get Patrick Mahomes in on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings. But shouts to DX Flyer for joining us tonight. He says for KC game, Hardman, good value. That's a name that I haven't seen anybody talk about in the community. I definitely do like that one. That could be an interesting stack option. But other than that, man, there isn't really too much. We're going to go into a quick commercial break. And before we go into the commercial break, anything that you liked in the San Francisco and Detroit Lions game, that could be a game that fantasy owners may not think about right now, but on Sunday morning, we get a news report that DeAndre Swift isn't in the lineup. I wouldn't be surprised if some ownership didn't really reach that it should for Jamal Williams.
Yeah, that's definitely something we're going to have to monitor there. If he's out, Jamal Williams is definitely a good play at 4,500. I think Mostert, I'm going to have some shares of him. And one thing we got to worry about Mostert is the guy's made out of glass. This is more so for season long, though, right? Like for DFS, he has the opportunity to go out there and break off a big run. This guy has so much big playability. There was a couple weeks last week where he had very good games, 25.1 against Arizona, 18.7 against the Jets. Very cheap here, big playability. More of a tournament play for me. Him splitting carries with Trey Sermon is definitely concerning, but he's been splitting carries the past few years. So I think most are somebody to look at 5,800. Other than that, in this game for Detroit, I think Brandon Ayuk is somebody to definitely consider. 5,700, great matchup against Detroit here. And then also one other thing that did stick out to me was Tyrell Williams, wide receiver 1 for Detroit, 4,400, very cheap. But other than that, that's about it. Hawkinson's fine. Kittle's fine as always, but I'm kind of looking more so at Mostert in terms of just taking a shot at him. I think he has that big playability.
Same. I'm looking at Mostert, and Big Show. Shouts to Big Show Picks. Does a lot of the producing on the shows of our video. He's kind of selling me on this Brandon Ayuk take.
I think you're muted, but yeah, Brandon Ayuk's very, very, very good this week. I like him.
Shout outs to the sponsor, Manscaped. Quick commercial break. I am here with Brady, aka DFS by Numbers. This is the PSR Stacks and Facts video. We're going to talk about some cash game constructions for this weekend. Me personally, I play about a little bit more cash games on FanDuel than DraftKings. If I'm playing on DraftKings, I want the $1 million, nothing else. But still got to make some room for the cash games. What would you say is your cash game lock for the weekend?
Well, I mean, to make it easy on myself, I'm going to say my cash game lock is Christian McCaffrey. I just don't see myself going away from him this week and in cash.
Well, that leads into our second topic here. I feel like lineup construction-wise for FanDuel and DraftKings, with all the wide receiver value that we talked about previously on today's slate, McCaffrey and Kamara, I feel like you could pay up for 2 running backs on this slate pretty easily and really not allocate a lot of your salary. So I feel like that's the easiest answer is team jamming in at running back, go with the 2 high-priced running backs and pick somebody in the mid-range that you like. Maybe it's James Robinson, maybe it's Joe Mixon. If you're playing GPPs, look at Mike Davis. It's a pretty easy lineup construction this week. I think the way to get different will be at the quarterback and wide receiver position. My favorite quarterback on this weekend slate for cash games is going to be Jalen Hurts. I think he has the highest rushing floor considering the price tag, and I think he is by far the best FanDuel play at the quarterback position if you're looking in the mid-range. What were you looking at for different builds for your quarterback? Because I know with DraftKings this week, you can go a lot of different routes.
Yeah, for cash all week, I've been debating back and forth. Am I going to play Murray in cash? Am I going to play Hurts in cash? I'm probably going to decide to play Hurts. Like you said, I think he has the best rushing ability of the 2. He did average 11.5 rushing attempts last year, which I do like. So he's going to run the ball. Of course, Murray's going to be able to run the ball as well. But, Jalen Hurts is going to be $1,200 cheaper. So for quarterbacks, I'm probably going to go with Jalen Hurts. But it was very close between him and Murray. But I do like the price savings there on Hurts.
Yeah, if you're looking to punt on DraftKings, there's some really appealing quarterbacks. I think Sam Darnold can easily 3x his value at 5K. He might not give you the highest ceiling ever, but you could definitely 3x. I would stay away from guys like Mac Jones at $4,400, even though that's a defensive price tag. I don't know how high ceiling is, but if you're looking at cash games, I mean, you could do worse than that. But I feel like tight end overall, we talked about it a little bit earlier about the Travis Kelce conversation. We're going to keep that one pretty short. Overall, I think Kyle Pitts is the lock. If you want to get different, I'm keeping my tight end pool pretty short this week. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's between two, just like quarterbacks, it's between two guys. Am I going to go up and get Kelsey, or am I going to play Kyle Pitts for cash? I did decide to go Kyle Pitts, just way cheaper. I know Kelsey's going to have the big upside there, but you can't ignore the $4,400 price tag on Kyle Pitts going against Philadelphia, who's very bad against tight ends. He is a rookie, so there are some slight concerns. We'll see how he does, but I think the talent's there. I think the ability's there, and I think the volume will be there for Pitts. So yeah, at tight end, it's between Kelsey or Pitts for me, but in cash, I'm going Pitts there for the price savings.
1,000%. Before we head on out of here, let's go over to defenses. Is there any defenses that really stood out to you? The first one that I was looking at was the Denver Broncos, 3,300 and $4,100 on FanDuel this week. I feel like that is the safest defensive floor on the slate. The one thing that we know about Daniel Jones, dude, there's a lot of turnovers or either fumbles the ball. The New York Giants offensive line is also dealing with some problems as well. I feel like the pass rush of Denver is probably the safest floor for cash games. What defense did you like?
Yeah, so in cash, it's all going to be up to, I'm gonna fill out my lineup and then see what comes left. If I have to punt down with like the Bengals or the Falcons, I'll do that. But if I was to go up and look for a defense that I do like this week, I'm with you. I do like the Broncos. I think the Bills against Pittsburgh is a cheap defense that could be decent there. And then the other one that kind of stuck out to me is going to be the Jaguars defense, 2,700 against the terrible Houston Texans offense there. I think, the Jaguars, they're not great, but, Houston's even worse. So, but yeah, for me, I'm probably just going to be honest, in cash. If I have to, I'm completely content with punting with like the Falcons or the Bengals.
Yeah, I definitely don't blame you. Jaguars was the other defense I was looking at also as well. But Brady, man, you had me going earlier in the video when you were talking about sports betting. Is there anything that you're looking at for week one sports betting that caught your eye? Because I to see you coming in on some non-MMA sports bets and hitting it many different ways, I feel like a proud cousin or something.
Yeah, it feels good. So yeah, I was very let's just say intoxicated last night, but I did look through some things and I'm going to look through some more things. I only have one play thus far. I think it was like Christian McCaffrey over 119 and a half total yards. Both games where he was healthy last year, he absolutely destroyed that. He's going against the Jets here. I think he destroys that as well. Rushing ability, reception ability, I think he gets it done there. But in terms of anything else, I'm going to look through it tonight. I'm going to see what I can find. I think it could be interesting to play the Jags against the Texans. I didn't think the Texans would be so bad. I'd be shocked if the Texans won one game this year. So in terms of like a money line shot, I think that the I forget what they're at. I think like minus 160. I think the Jaguars could be something to consider. But those were the only two spots that I've looked at thus far.
Bro, I'm on that too. That was the bet I was looking at. Jaguars -3. I know a Jaguars fan that's about to come on in a couple of seconds too. But looking at a prop that really stood out to me before we bring in my man. Shouts to DFX Fly for being in here. He says Kyle Pitts is a blocker is my only concern. Well, if you go over to FanDuel and look at anytime touchdown prop, Kyle Pitts on FanDuel for anytime touchdown is plus 210 this weekend. Don't tell anybody. Don't try to share the video and tell your friends. Make sure you tell them to hit the like button if you guys are watching it. But if you're this deep into the video so far, Kyle Pitts 210 on FanDuel anytime touchdown score is absolute value. On BetMGM, that is a plus 130 prop. So FanDuel is literally like $1 off. But shout outs to my main man, Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I guess he heard all this Jacksonville Jaguars talk and he wanted to get in. So shouts to Millie Mills.
Yo, what's good, man? Let's get this football money. Week one, here it is, man. Pub Sports Radio. It's only one team, black, white, All we see is green. All right, man. So I got one prop for you that I'm guaranteed to hit. I'm taking James Robinson over 2.5 receptions. You can get that at mybookie.ag. If you don't use the promo code PUBSports, you're not going to be able to get that match bonus. Double up your money. James Robinson over 2.5 receptions. Go ahead, go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code PUBSports. My fantasy player of the week, it's going to be cooking. I'm going with Davion Cook, all right? He's going to be the fantasy player of the week. Why? Bengals, second worst team in rushing yards last year. He's going to eat. Last year, he didn't do too well with receiving touchdowns. This year, it's going to be something different. He's a dual threat back. Look for him to eat against the Bengals. The Bengals don't have anybody on their defensive line. They traded away their best defensive player the last 2 years, Carlos Dunlap. Besides that, they don't have any cornerbacks that's even worthy of mentioning. So, yeah, Davion Cook, that's my player, my fantasy player of the week. Like I said, he's going to eat. Last year, he averaged 21 points in fantasy. The year before that, 17. He's just been getting better as time been going.
Yo, shouts to Mills, dog. I'm definitely telling you on that James Robinson one. That was super hot fire. Mills, any bets that you're looking at? We got Brady on the degeneracy bandwagon now, betting NFL games and stuff like that. Where are you looking at for week 1 NFL bets, Mills?
To be honest, man. So right now, I got a parlay locked up already. Just call me the favorite dog when it comes to it. I got KC locked up with them. And then I took, who was it? It was my boys that was minus 220. It was the Baltimore Ravens, I think, on Monday night.
I don't know.
Those two in the parlay right there. And yeah, now it's looking like it's going to be a Lamar Jackson show. So I'm trying to tell you guys right now, any Lamar Jackson prop, take them all. He's about to show out and ball.
I'll one up you on that. Give me Raiders Raiders +4 best Monday night football bet +4, and I'm going to sprinkle on the money line. I think Gruden gets one on Monday night over the Ravens.
Yeah, the Ravens don't have a running back.
They don't have
bro. And Marcus Peters is out for the season.
Yeah.
Anything else though that you guys wanted to cover? Because that was really it on the slate. Brady, where can they find you?
Twitter, DFS_numbers. YouTube is DFS by the numbers. I'm about to post my full player pool for NFL Week 1 probably tomorrow morning. Going to get that recorded tonight. But yep, thanks for having me on. It was very fun. Can't wait to be back next week and make some more money.
And if they're looking for MMA MMA content for Patreon, where can they find your Patreon at?
It's patreon.com/DFS by the numbers there. Yeah, can't wait for MMA to be back as well. But I think it was nice to have a week off so I can kind of get into the NFL. I spent like 3 days, doing NFL research, getting caught up with everything. And I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready for some NFL this year.
Yeah, definitely nice to talk with another MMA head. Sometimes I feel like we get into the MMA world so much, some of these football news go past our head. So you always got to make sure you run through it by somebody else. MMA Locker Room, where can they find you at?
Just like it said right there, MMA Locker Room, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all the same. Check it out, man. Who's fighting next week? We got a guy named Impa Kasagny. He went from a -170 all the way down to a -130. A lot of people think he ain't going to win. Tune on in tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here, Pub Sports Radio on the YouTube to hear what he has to say. He's going to be live in the locker room. You thought I wouldn't be back? I'm back at it, folks. So that's where you can catch me out live with Impa Kasagny talking about how he's going to win his next match against Carlton Harris. Besides that, check me out. If you got action, follow me on there. I just put out my NFL props, plays, and picks. I'm 2-1 on the season so far. So let's get it, man.
Yeah, I love it, Mills. Before we head on out here, let's head over to the chat. DX Flyer will definitely give you a follow after this video concludes. The Black Mitch Wilson says, bro, I got a problem. I want Rondell Moore in my fantasy team. I want to drop either A.J. Dillon or James White for him. What should I do? Call me crazy. I would drop James White and pick up Rondell Moore.
Same here.
Yeah.
Shouts to R. He says good props for Millie Mills. And that's really it for the chat. Zach Wilson for MVP says Kittle. If you want to get cheap ownership this week, I would definitely say Kittle could absolutely smash at no ownership.
Yeah, nobody's going to have Kittle. I mean, everybody's playing Kelsey and Pitts, right? So, yeah, Kittle definitely going to be – yep, he's good. He's good. He's going to be low on.
Thomas, too. Don't forget about him.
Make sure you hit that like on the video, hit the bell notification so you get notified for all of our live videos. And after this video will be the No Clean Sheets soccer video making its debut on Pub Sports Radio, going over some of the top soccer games to bet on for the weekend. Other than that, we are out. Shout outs to PSR for always being the realest out, and take off that Leonard Fournette jersey.